We are Chris Lee and Blake Lovell of Southeastern 14, presented by Stakes, here to preview every single SEC football game for Week 11. Holy cow, we're in Week 11. Where did the time go? Uh, Interesting games for both these teams last week, Blake. The Vols suffered their first loss at Georgia. The Bulldogs really shut down Tennessee's offense, something nobody has been able to do all year. Missouri's defense continued its good string of performances. However, a wild punt play that really should have been a tackle for loss and given the ball to Missouri inside the 5 turned into a roughing the punter call. The Tigers lose yet another heartbreaker. This will be interesting to see how both teams bounce back.
Yeah, it will. Obviously, the Vols coming off I think a disappointing performance at Georgia, to say the least, in terms of, certainly would have been in quite a spot if they had won that game. But now regroup, and as we've said before, I think even a loss in that game, Tennessee still has a path to get to where they want to go. It's just it's gotten a little bit more interesting now, depending on what happens around them, and of course with Missouri. I mean, we've said it. It feels like every game Missouri plays is close, and I guess they've kind of become the new Kentucky. I know you kind of dubbed them with that at one point, but I feel like Missouri's kind of there now in terms of the games that they played, and close losses have been a theme this season, and this is one where we talk about their defense. Perhaps their defense will present some challenges here for a Tennessee team. Early start, and we'll see if that plays out that way, and if Missouri can slow down this fall's offense. Maybe somewhat similar to what Georgia did. I think it's still going to be a tall task. So.
When Missouri has the ball, the Tigers have not exactly been one of the league's more exciting offenses. Missouri averaging 23.1 points a game. The Vols defense has been the question mark, but even with Tennessee's high octane offense, which creates a lot of plays for everybody, given the speed at which the Vols move, Tennessee is giving up a very respectable 21.7 points a game. The Tigers have thrown 9 interceptions, which is exactly what the Vols have. I think Missouri has lost 9 fumbles. Tennessee has recovered 9. Tennessee has registered 21 sacks. Missouri's given up 19. Rush plays. Missouri likes to run the ball about 36 times a game and throw it 30. Again, we say rush plays, not rushes, because we adjust for sacks and count those as pass plays. So when Missouri rushes the ball or has a rushing play, it averages 4.4 a carry. Tennessee giving up a very nice 3.7, one of the better marks in the league. Missouri under Brady Cook, the passing has been ugly at times, but still averaging 6.3 per pass play. Tennessee, the embattled Vols pass defense, as I've said, is better than you think because of the sack issue, giving up 6.44 per play. I don't see Missouri putting up huge offensive numbers in this game, Blake.
Well, that's the thing, is even they've played a lot of close games, but it's not like they're putting up a lot of points. And we've said all season their defense has kind of carried them to this point. And I mean, really, you look at every game they played since Abilene Christian. It's all like in the most they've given up is, I think, 26. The most they've scored is 23. I think that's right. So, I mean, like, those are just the kind of numbers. And again, I think the offense is just, at this point, right? What you said earlier, like, it's hard to believe we're in week 11, but by week 11, like, you kind of know what the offense is at this point, and like you kind of know what to expect from this team. I don't think you're going to see just these huge outbursts of points from Missouri. At least that's not what we should predict based on what we've seen from them. So, yeah, I mean, can they get something going against this Tennessee defense? I don't know about that, because again, I think this seems like a spot, especially defensively for Tennessee. We talked about how they built a lot of momentum after that Kentucky game. I don't think played bad by any means against Georgia, but now I think you sort of look at it and maybe you come out and try to make a statement here against a Missouri offense that, like you said, I mean, the numbers are what they are, but this is just not a very high octane offense. Even if they do have, several guys we've seen kind of have that playmaking ability, but I just don't know if there's enough to certainly try to keep up with a Tennessee team that certainly has a bit more of that, I think, on the offensive side.
Before we get to the other side of the ball, quick shout out to our sponsor, Stakes. That's Stakes. Great app. You can predict sports better than the crowd for a chance to win NFTs. With Stakes, players can cement their sports predictions against friends, other fans, and influencers forever. Don't let your sports genius go overlooked. Join Stakes and have the best predictions captured in the moment. Head to playwithstakes.com/14. Use our invite code Southeastern14. Get a double welcome bonus. Free to join, free to play. You can win stuff. What's not to like there? Okay, when the Vols had the ball, Tennessee's scoring average came down several points following what the Bulldogs did in Athens. Tennessee still, though, averaging 46.5 points a game. Missouri giving up 21.4. The Vols, as we have said time and time again, prefer to run over passing. They average 41 rush plays a game, 34 passing plays. On those, Tennessee averaging 4.8 per run. Missouri giving up 4.2 yards per play. In passing, Tennessee averaging 9.7 and Missouri giving up only 5.4. That's one of the better marks in the league. Missouri has 23 sacks. Tennessee has given up 19. Vols have only thrown 3 picks, one of those coming in the last game. Missouri has registered 7 and fumbles. Tennessee's lost 7. Missouri has recovered 6. It'll be interesting to see if Missouri's defense, which is pretty athletic in its front 7 and in its secondary, I've been impressed with these guys all year, can hold Tennessee down. Hendon Hooker had some receivers open in that game, but I think Georgia's pass rush sped up his timing and affected a lot of those. I think throws that he normally makes for touchdowns were going 5 yards overthrown, and I'm interested to see if Missouri can do the same thing here.
Yeah, I mean, look, like we said, it's there's no denying how good Missouri's defense has been this season. There's just again, we're in week 11. Like, there's no denying that they have been really, really good. And we just talked about kind of the numbers they've given up, having given up more than 26 points since game 3 of the season. And now you come in playing an offense that scores 26 points before breakfast, and certainly didn't do that last week against Georgia, but. I think this will be an interesting one because I think you talk about like the factors that are in play here. I mean, Tennessee looked vulnerable offensively last week against Georgia. Now this is a different setup coming back to Knoxville. You're not playing in a tough road environment. You've got a Missouri team that's coming off another tough loss, although the numbers just suggest that they may find a way to keep this close. But it's an early start. I think those are the kind of things. If you're Missouri, you get some early. Get a stop right off the bat, kind of build up some of that confidence. You never know how things play out from there, but I still think when you look at it, what we've seen from Tennessee is that our larger sample size of games tells us that Tennessee is going to put up some points here. Certainly didn't do it at Georgia, but this will be. I mean, I guess that's the question, Chris. It's like, in terms of Missouri's defense, we're not saying they're Georgia, but they're pretty dang good, and they have been
Yeah.
pretty good this season. So I think that's something that you can't just ignore here and say, well, it's just Tennessee. Missouri's going to come back again. You look at the numbers, and I know offensively you can talk about who they played and all this other stuff, but um, it at least looks like something where Missouri's defense has pushed them to the point of having a chance to win a lot more games. They just have not been able to find a way to do it. And I'm not saying they're going to be able to win this game against Tennessee. I just think when you look at kind of the setup here, I think a couple early stops from Missouri gives them a lot of confidence. Like I said a minute ago, though, I just don't think offensively, I don't really know what I should expect from Missouri's offense versus the Tennessee defense. And so I tend to think that Hendon Hooker and company bounce back here. Now, they're going to put up 60. I don't know about that because Missouri's defense has been good, but maybe a little bit more intriguing here with this matchup than you would think.
Yeah, the line is we're doing this on Monday morning. I'm seeing 20.5 with an over under of 56.5. That implies a 39-18 final in the Vols' favor. If you look at the averages that the teams have scored and given up, the final prediction would be 33-22 in Tennessee's favor. I'd lean more towards the line than what the stats say. Over under, by the way, based on what these teams have scored and given up, the prediction would be 56 right on the dot. 56.5 is again what what the over under is. I mean, we definitely like Tennessee to win. Missouri just cannot generate enough offense, and as good as Missouri's defense is, the Vols are going to score some touchdowns, which was an issue a week ago. Tennessee playing at home in this one, where the Vols are unbeaten. Missouri did win its last road game at South Carolina, but that's a much different challenge in this one. Blake, what are you feeling? And again, we're not professional bettors. We're just guys that watch a lot of SEC football. I think 21 or 20 and a half seems like a lot to cover, given how good Missouri's defense is. And man, I feel like you would have been crazy to bet the under on any game involving Tennessee this year, but the under did hit at Athens last week. How are you feeling in this one?
Well, I mean, again, not a professional bettor, but I mean, if you just look at some of the stats from our friends at Covers, like Missouri, 9 Missouri games this season, the under's hitting 8 of them. And again, that's their defense, right? And Tennessee, it's not, you would think the over's hitting a lot of Tennessee games, really hasn't. Over's hit 5 times, under's hit 4 times in Tennessee's games this season. 7-2 against the spread are the Vols this year. That is pretty good, as we know. Kind of look at the numbers, again, it's kind of what I just said in terms of team trends from Covers. Missouri hitting the under a lot. Tennessee has hit the over in certain games like this, given the setup. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I think Tennessee wins the game. I just think you just never know about these kind of games. I think because you do have two teams coming off of disappointing losses in different ways, and I think the mindset. We haven't seen Tennessee in this spot yet, right? Like we haven't seen this
Yeah.
Tennessee team coming off of a disappointing loss, I guess you could say, just yet. So we don't really know, I suppose, what to expect. But I like you said, I think you said it best. Missouri's defense has been really good. The stats suggest that they'll have a chance to slow down this Tennessee offense, but you still expect Tennessee to score some points here. They're going to score, and I think that certainly gives them the edge in terms of. I've at week 11 now. I've just given up on trying to figure out how some of these SEC. Think about how many wild SEC results we've had now to this point,
Yeah.
and it's just impossible to figure out. But I mean, I think you're going to feel pretty confident picking Tennessee here. The only thing I would say is again, just early game bouncing back. I think you kind of put a lot of confidence and give Josh Heupel the benefit of the doubt at this point with what he's done with his team. That they'll bounce back and find a way to get it done here, even if Missouri's stingy defense makes it maybe a little bit more non eye pleasing at times than it's been in some of these other games where Tennessee's just scored at will on every possession, maybe. So
Yeah, and Tennessee's been pretty consistent this year. I mean,
yeah,
they've had some games. You look back at Pitt and Florida, and maybe those were closer than they should have been, knowing how good Tennessee wound up being. But I mean, that stuff happens in September. So yeah, I mean, here's another thing I forgot to mention: penalties. Tennessee is one of the more penalized teams in the league, getting 72 yards of penalties charged against it every week. Missouri, 58 yards of penalties. Special teams, another thing. Tennessee has been respectable. FEI stats have not been updated, but the Vols are 44th in special teams according to FEI's rankings. Missouri 120 is Harrison Mevis, Missouri's All-American kicker, has been a little erratic this year, although some of that's been wind and weather and stuff like that. But take that for what it's worth too. Okay.
I mean,
I
like
think that,
something else too,
yeah,
Chris. I was going to say real quick, like and I know it's different, but like we said, or some of us, we talked about that Tennessee Kentucky matchup. We said Kentucky defensively can probably do some things to maybe slow down this Tennessee team. Well, we saw that kind of played out too. So I think it's hard to, it makes it a little harder to predict because I don't know that Tennessee's going to come out and beat Missouri by 38, but at their best, could they do it? Yes, because I
yeah,
just don't, you know what I mean? Like that's where like that's probably lower on your list of probabilities in terms of the percentages. But um, like you said, I think the consistency has been there with Tennessee, and just one loss to the best team in the country on the road. I don't think you're just going to immediately change your expectations for this team.
yeah. And part of my hesitation on going the over is Missouri's got to get to 18 points in this one. And
Yeah,
Missouri just has not been, again, Tennessee's defense has taken some heat. I think people are still not used to doing per play and adjusting for tempo because Tennessee's defense has not been bad at all. When you consider those things, I think I like the under more as I look at this. And again, I think I take obviously Tennessee to win, But I think Missouri's got a chance to stay within 3 touchdowns and point afters here.
We'll see.
Well, we preview every single SEC game every week. Best way to catch those is to subscribe to our channel. And by the way, we are doing this on Monday morning. It's going to be opening night of SEC basketball. So we got some basketball content up. Again, catch all that by hitting that subscribe button. Thank you for watching Southeastern 14 presented by Stakes. He's Blake Lovell. I'm Chris Lee. We'll see you again soon.